Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
I'm Zaza Giorday, and welcome to the show.
And I'm so excited today, beyond words, to have with me Shelley Sanders. And Shelley is very special. She's a business intuitive and medium. And she's dedicated to helping healers to get clients by trusting and following their intuition, which is absolutely wonderful. And she does begin clearing the emotional charges of being seen, hurt, and persecuted. And it's such a strong word there, Shelley. I'm sure it's going to resonate with many women in our audience because you do help clients translate their gifts into profitable business, which is not obvious at first when you start out, when you are a gifted healer. And you also help them setting up a system that honors them. And I really like that, really honors who they are. So let's go right in. Sorry, Shelley, welcome to the show. I'm on the train, you know.
Thank you, Zaza. It's great to be here. I'm just honored to be your guest.
Oh, it's just so nice to have you here and have your beautiful energy with us today. And I'd love to know a little bit more about how your personal story ties into your business, because I think it's really wonderful.
Well, it's really interesting because at 4 years old, I was able to see earthbound spirits. And the way that I saw them was in color and solid, just as you look. So for me, it was confusing to tell a family member the difference between a family member and an earthbound spirit. So this actually freaked my grandfather out. And he actually gave my parents an ultimatum. He said, either she stops or I stop visiting you. So my parents had to sit me down and let me know that I can no longer talk to spirits and that it was upsetting the other family members. And at 4 years old, I really didn't understand what they meant, because for me, that was my reality. So in order to cope, what I had to do was I had to mimic what my cousins were doing, just kind of copying what they did in order to appear to be normal. And I was quite afraid of the adults. I really didn't trust them at that point because they didn't let me be who I was. So when I was around adults, I wouldn't speak. And then I got labeled as being shy. And so because they labeled me as shy, they left me alone, and they didn't know that I could still communicate with the spirits. So by the time that I got to 14, I got rebellious, and I was going to now they're going to see that I can hear and see these spirits, and I'm going to make them realize this, and they can't shut me down anymore. So when I tried to talk to my parents, they've just pretty much shut down because they were afraid of, not being part of the family. And so I just kind of had to let that go again. And by the time that I reached 40, I could no longer hold it back. It just all spewed forward like a volcano. And then I had to relearn how to live with this, because it's been shut down for so long. It was actually fearful when I started communicating with the spirits again. And because they're just so loving, and I love being connected to the spirit world, I decided that I had to incorporate it in my business. And I know that there's healers out there that have a story that's similar to mine, where they're the odd man out, and they've been forced into a box to be like everyone else. And so I've created a space to where they can really be honored and nurtured for who they really are, and to show them that it's okay to take their healing abilities and turn that into a profitable business, because that's why they're really here.
Yeah, it's I love your story because it's such a good example of how we need to fit in order just to survive within our first tribe, which is our family, and how it can take a really hard toll on us, and how it can affect us emotionally, physically, health, well-being. I mean, in such I mean, all aspects of our lives, and how this impacts what we have to say later on. So it's wonderful also to see how you turn, those challenges around to your advantage now, you in the sense that you're really fully owning your gifts and who you really are, regardless of what other people may say, including your family. And then you really manage to do something positive with it, positive for you, positive for others, setting up your business. It's such a wonderful example. And for sure, it's good for other healers out there to get inspired and empowered by your story. I mean, that's what Feminine Influencers movement and show is all about, is really inspiring others. So it's absolutely wonderful. So tell me a bit more about healers. Do you help all kinds of healers? Do you have specific kind of clients that you attract?
Well, I find that usually that healers that come to me, they usually have some type of a unique ability. So maybe they can see auras, or they may be able to see spirits, or they may do something like animal communication. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes they've been shut down as a kid by being told by a parent that, stop saying that Fluffy can speak because Fluffy can't speak, mm-hmm. And so they kind of shy away. So I tend to attract those that either they tend to drift or work more with universal energies. They feel safer out of their body than in their body. They really see the earth as being a harsh environment, and they much rather be up out of their body and connected with the cosmos than really dealing with day-to-day life. Mm. And because they're not grounded, it makes it difficult for them to connect with their clients, and that makes it hard for them to get paid money on a regular basis. So they tend to teeter between the barely making enough to stay in their business, so then they're kind of leaning towards the side of maybe getting a job in order to supplement their income. So I'm trying to catch them before they end up having to get a job, because that's a much harsher environment, and I would much rather show them how that they could turn things around so that they can really thrive in their business.
Yeah, for sure. It's I love the two things that you're pointing out here. One, that it can be a very harsh environment, especially when you soak in all the negative energies around you. And I know you've experienced that yourself.
Yes.
And how it can be very, I don't know what the word is, but when you're disorienting with all the things that you have to do that are earthly things, when you're up there in your, with spirits or the source or whatever it is that you are communicating with. And that's what I hear from a lot of feminine influencers, is like, oh, don't talk to me about website and marketing and applications. It's like, this is just not for me, and yet, it's a way for them to grow their business. So,
absolutely.
So let's get more into, what are the main problems that you solve for them? What are the challenges they come to you with?
Well, part of the challenges actually starts from their childhood when they were shut down. And because they were shut down, it's difficult for them to get out and to reach more people. So one of the first things that I do with them is really help them to take empowered steps. So I help them with their mindset of whatever they were taught to believe, which is not truly them. So we start to chop away at that so we can get to the core of who they really are. So it's really like pulling weeds out of a garden. They have all these beautiful flowers, but they're full of weeds. So we need to pull up everything that's not theirs. And then the next thing that we do is, we work on their own self-worth to let them know that they're valued, they're nurtured, they're loved, and they're okay just as they are. So we really build them up as far as their self-worth. And then after that, once that's done, then we can really get into the meat of it, which is connecting into their own inner wisdom. So this is where the soul communication happens. So, when they're saying that they would like to get more money and they'll send it out to the universe, but the part that they're missing is that soul communication, because their soul has that bigger vision and it has the blueprint of what's actually happening in order to keep them on track. And when they get that communication, then they know what actions to take so that their life becomes easier and they can manifest a whole lot faster.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite a program. Sounds like you're peeling the layers of an onion,
Yeah. So actually that's what we do is we peel the layers off. And once they get comfortable with them and their soul communication, then I show them how that they can grow their email list so that they can get clients on a regular basis. But before we even get there, is we have to start off with the basics of stripping away what's not theirs, building them up to where they need to be, and then having that inner connection so that they trust their own information, because they've been taught to go away from themselves and don't trust themselves. And so we bring them back to the core of who they are.
Yeah, it's very tough when you shut down that part of you to reopen and start listening and understanding which part is you and which part is the others. And that in itself is a process to undo what's been done over the years, or what you've inflicted on yourself just to feel safe. So yeah, for sure. And what about change though? Because that can be scary to because what you're implying is that there's going to be change happening in their lives, right? Positive change.
Yes.
But, we're talking major transformation here. So how do they react to that?
Well, they react differently. So it really depends on the person, because I can also feel energy. So sometimes when I'm working with a client, their belief is so strong. Energetically, they're holding on so tight. You can imagine a little kid with a teddy bear that's petrified and they're squeezing it so tight. It's like the teddy bear is almost like a part of them. So it takes a little bit. But what happens is I'm fortunate that a lot of the information that I get that's channeled for me or through me is actually for the client. So I have a whole system of how to ask the right questions in order to begin to kind of pull them out of that shell. So I don't give them the answer. I allow them to come up with it for themselves. And one of my favorite client stories is when I had a client come to me and she wanted a waiting list of new clients. And as I began to work with her, what we discovered, and we were so excited when we found this out, is that she had a fear that if she was more successful than her mother and her grandmother, that they would, abandon her and they would leave her along with her and her two kids because she's a single mother. And so when I asked her the question, I'm like, well, did your mother, your grandmother ever say, if you're more successful to us, that we won't accept you in the family anymore? And she said no. But where that really came from was from the childhood of when she was rejected for being different. And that carried all the way up into her adulthood and into her business. So even though she wanted a successful business, and every time she tried to sit down to do something, to maybe send out an email or post something on social media, she would get distracted and find herself on Facebook for 3 hours at a time watching videos instead of doing work that would actually bring in clients and bring in money. So once we were able to break through that ceiling that we found, now she is on Facebook, but she's promoting her business. And she was a little nervous about getting out in front of people and meeting them. She's now going to different shows where she has a vendor table. And at her vendor table, she now has a line of people waiting to see her. So it's pretty amazing that once you get through the core of what's really happening, that you can let go of what's not yours and really take on what is.
It's on, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What a life change for her in all aspects. But now, what you're saying is, at some point, the client has to take action.
Absolutely. Yes, they do. And the easy way for them to take action is when we go through step one first, when we do the whole breakdown, and then the step two, the build up. And so once we work through that, then it becomes a lot easier for them to take action. So there's not so much resistance. Now, as you grow, you're going to always get some type of resistance, but it's not as strong to where you won't take action at all. So you get to the point you can feel the resistance, but you can still take action. At the beginning, when I work with clients, is they feel the resistance and they don't take action. So we get them to the point where you can feel it and you can still take action. So that's the difference. And that's how they're seeing them turn themselves around in order to have a better quality life.
Yeah, for sure. It's you got to get used to that, resistance, going through the resistance and seeing the results. And then it's not so scary anymore, right?
Exactly. Because once you see the results, then there's like a celebration that happens. And then you kind of think like, wow, that was so silly. Why was I so freaked out for so long? And it was much easier than I thought. Yeah. And then, it's like breaking through that barrier. And once they're able to do it and it feels so good, it's easier to do it again. So I call that building up the momentum. So it's just taking small steps in order to get there.
But now, could there be, like, for example, there could be a pitfall where they actually just, want to sit back and wait for the universe to deliver what they've asked for?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that tends to be a pitfall. And I call that misunderstanding the book, The Secret, the movie, The Secret, because within The Secret, it did say to take action and ask the universe, but it seems that people forgot about the taking action and they only focus on the asking the universe. So, if you're just sitting there and, let's say you wanted to be in a relationship and you're like,
my wish list.
Universe, I want this great man to come to me. And it's like, well, okay, you need to get out and talk to people or get on a dating site. UPS is not going to come to your front door and say, delivery, here's a man. It doesn't work like that. Like you have to take some type of action, right? And so this is where so that's a great way of working with me is because I'll hold you accountable. So I'll partner with you to hold your hand every step of the way. But I'm also going to give you that tough love and hold you accountable and say, hey, did you take these actions? Because if you don't take any action, then you don't get results. And if they're coming up against blocks, then we'll look to see what that next layer is of why they're stopping. So that's why it's really good to have a partner, because when you do it on your own, if it gets tough, you're not held accountable to anyone. You're just going to stop, right? Like, I'll get on social media. I'll do this later. And then later it never comes. Yeah.
And it sounds to me like you're really working towards getting your clients independent so that, they can connect with this inner wisdom of theirs and then move on with their life. They don't have to call you every 5 minutes to know what they should do next.
Yeah, it's all about independence. And that's where the strength is standing in your own power, because they have their own clients that they're here to help. So I'm here, my purpose is here as a teacher and a supporter. So I'm here to help those who have the clients that need to be helped. So this is how we end up healing the world is, if I can heal these leaders that have a community, they can grow their community and they can heal those people that need to be healed. So then it's not like I'm not trying to heal every single person. I can catch that first layer of people and then it's a domino effect and they can take care of the rest.
Absolutely. And that's what's so wonderful about the work that you do, because it has ripple effect beyond what we can possibly imagine, for sure. Now, sometimes when we have a vision, we have this big idea of what we want and where we want to be. And once it's getting closer to actually becoming a physical reality, it can be very scary. Could that be like a reason for a person to be, just be scared to ask for your help?
Yeah, absolutely. Because and I'm so glad you brought this up. Thank you. Because sometimes what people do is they hold on to a vision and they have it so long that it's perfect in the distance.
Yeah.
But what happens is when you bring it to reality, it looks completely different than what that far off vision was. And so sometimes people can get so caught up in the it must be perfect that they can miss an opportunity. So it's a willingness to roll up your sleeves, because to be honest, what we vision never really comes out exactly to what we want. It's always a little different. And what I find is when you're working with the universe, often you'll get better than what you actually asked for.
Sure.
Yeah. But if you're holding off and if you're so scared, then you'll never experience that next thing. And you can always tell when something's not working right. Your soul will begin to nag you and you'll become frustrated and you'll kind of feel a little down because you know that you're missing something. So if you're feeling like there's something missing, you're kind of feeling down, it's because you're off course and you're charted to get much better than what you're getting, but you're just settling for less.
For less, yeah, for sure. That's a good indication.
Yes.
Definitely. Now, in terms of, how much time it's going to take for them to get this transformation, or how much it's going to cost them, are they worried it may not be for them? Are there any, sort of obstacles that come up when they're trying to reason about this whole
right process? So sometimes it is money. Usually when people say money, it's usually something else. It's not really the actual dollar. It's the, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have more responsibility because I said yes to this transformation. And, I just really want just a tiny bit success without putting out too much. And I really don't want to help all these people that I said that I really want to help. I still want to hide just a little bit. So really that's what's happening underneath the surface when they say money. It's the bigger picture of they want to get out there and help people, but they want to do it quietly and hide, and the two don't mix. And so it's about really stepping out. And when I have a conversation with someone, that is what I usually find, is that they still want to hide a little bit because they don't feel safe on this planet, and they don't feel safe to speak to people because they've been shut down before. And I've even had a client tell me, she said, I'm afraid if I get out there and speak in front of a lot of people, I'll get burned. Yeah. So, where that comes from is also from being a healer in a previous lifetime where she actually was burned for standing up. So also carrying some of the past life trauma, and that's something that we also work through to release.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a definite issue with visibility.
Yes.
For many healers, I find too. And so tell me a little bit more about your solution. How do you work with your client? Is it one-on-one? Is it in group? How do you address their obstacles and challenges?
Well, what we usually do is we'll work in a small group, and I find that working in a small group is best because the other participants in the group, they stand as mirrors for each other. So if you're going through something and maybe it's not coming into your awareness, you'll see it play out in someone else. And so it gives you your aha moment. And so we usually work for about 7 weeks together in order to really get through the core of what's happening. And then if they need any additional, then they're welcome to work with me one-to-one. If they say, okay, the group was great, but now I want to take this even deeper and I want my own private time with you. So I do both, but I tend to like working in groups in order because with the group, everyone raises up, the energy comes up together, and we're able to really access the universal information that everyone is looking for.
And does that work in like takes? Like you'd have a first session of like 8-10 weeks, and then another one. I mean, because how much do you actually get done in your first core program? Do you know what I mean? Like if it's layers of an onion, is it enough to do it once, and do you have to do the same thing several times, or how does it work?
Well, what we do is we actually would go through a program. So the program that I have that I take them through, it's called Money Making Media Kit. And it's a way to help them to get out virtually so that they can grow their email list. They can be seen and heard on a larger platform. And as we're working through the issues that start to come up, it'll come up each week to be cleared. So it's not like week one, okay, we worked on your mindset and your self-worth. So that's it. You're not going to go anymore. So maybe week 5 or 6, some things are still coming up. And whatever's coming up, we'll address it on the call because it serves the entire group. So it's not like a flat, we do have a system, a plan of how to work things. But if there's something that's coming up, we address it so that they can keep taking action.
How wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Just what a wonderful work that you are doing, Shelley, and how valuable and life transforming. What if our audience wants to contact you? What can they do?
Well, you can go to my website. I have a free gift, and it's called Weekly Tips to Boost Your Clients in Cash. And it's a video series where you can get information on, how to communicate with your email list, what to do, what not to do, so that you're not using them like an ATM machine, so that you're not pushing them away from you. And the way to get there is consistentclientcash.com, and just click on the free gift, and then just fill out your name, your email address, and we'll send it right to you. And, if you're interested in the Money Making Media Kit, on the thank you page, there's actually a link there that will take you right to it. Or you can always email me directly if you have any questions, which is Shelley, Shelley @consistentclientcash.com.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Shelley. I'll put the link as well in the text. And there goes my camera.
You're slowly sliding away.
Yeah,
You almost made it.
Yeah, amazing. I won't be here. Keep me on. I will get this part edited. So hold on. Just a second. It never happened before. I got nervous. Anyway. Man, you can be fired for this. Okay. That's super, Shelley. I'll put the link in the comment as well, so that our audience can quickly get in touch with you and connect with you and get to know more about all the wonderful things you can do for them. And I'm so thrilled that we could share this today and your inspiring journey. So thank you so much for being on the show and coming to see us today. That was just great.
Thank you, Zaza. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.